Well, another day of working on the drift car. Carl was doing a bunch of research for me today on his downtime at work, and we kind of believe that the speed sensor is now the issue. So, looking for my code reader currently. Don't know where that ended up. Thought it was in the old Ford. It's usually the hiding spot for it, so gotta find where that is. Plug it into the car. I didn't have a speed sensor code before, but we hadn't driven it much before when I ran the codes, so haven't ran them in a while. So see what happens, see what comes up, see if we have a speed sensor code. If we have a speed sensor code, which we're most likely going to because there's no speed sensor in the car, so gonna have to figure that out. It really is a shame. So just gotta fight through it, see what we can figure out, and go from there. But man, I lost my code reader. Well, Diesel. Where'd your code reader go, Diesel dog? Diesel dog gonna go get his ball. Yeah. Yeah, I'll be back when I find my code reader.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Code reader acquired. See what happens. See what we find. Just a few of them there. Still got all of our evap codes. Evap. It's weird. So there's no speedo sensor or speed sensor code. Well, I surely hope somebody points it out in the video, or in the comments. Right there, what do you know? Vehicle speed sensor A. PO500, the exact code that we were referencing in Carl's research. So, it's right there. So, yeah. That now means I'm gonna be figuring out a speed sensor for this, so I got a lot of research to do on this one. I'm not really too sure how this is going to play out to A, try and fool it, or make it work. So yeah, I got some stuff to figure out. I'll be back when I start figuring that out, and if I even find a way to test this. If I can find a way to maybe hook it up to a drill and spin it with a drill. Because the sensor, I pulled the sensor out of a spare transmission a little while ago. Because, well, you gotta have spares of everything laying around. So here's your speed sensor that goes in the side of the WRX transmission. And this top piece here spins, which then sends the signal through to the wires up to your speedometer, so on and so forth. So, yeah. Gonna see what we can do with this. I don't really even know what I can do to spin this or what I could mount it to spin it, so see what happens. Maybe we'll just mount it right to the crank. Right off the front of the harmonic balancer. That would actually be hilarious. But I don't know. Like I said, see what we can figure out, see what happens out of this, and we're just gonna go from there. So wish me luck. I'll be back with good news, hopefully.
10 seconds later.
Alright, well, me and Diesel have done a bunch of research, and turns out iWire sells a kit. They sell a whole harness that plugs into the wheel speed sensor over on the passenger side here. It has a converter box, and then it plugs into your factory plug and transmits to your cluster. So just ordered myself that. It was a pricey one to pull the trigger on, but you know, at the end of the day, the convenience is worth the price. I go through and I do a lot of wiring and play around with a lot of this stuff, and to just pay the money for something that's figured out and will work, especially from a trusted company, I'm just going to go ahead and do that this time around. So, should hopefully have that end of next week probably, which kind of sucks. Our tuner's going on vacation, so it's going to be tight for whether or not we can get this tuned by the end of next week. We will see. We might have to wait another month to get it tuned. So, is what it is. We're going to work through it and do whatever we got to do, but hopefully the wheel speed sensor should be enough to get us in the right direction of getting rid of the cuts. So we'll be picking back up on the drift car soon, but that's where we're left off for now. So
1 week later.
Alrighty, well, we are jumping back on the Subaru today. I've got a bunch of solutions for it, so let's get in the garage and check out what we got. Hopefully gonna get a working speedometer on this thing and we can get it finished getting it tuned. So let's go check out some parts. Got myself a workbench full of solutions here. So we got another set of knuckles because unfortunately we got to swap the knuckles out because it still has the original knuckles that do not have provisions for a wheel speed sensor. So guess what? I am actually taking Brandon's knuckles and he's getting the non-ABS knuckles since his car is a non-ABS car. He technically doesn't need the ABS knuckles. So I'm taking Brandon's knuckles for my car. So yeehaw to stealing another part from Brandon's RS recently here. So now we also have an iWire Subaru wiring solution kit here. So it's nice. They send you an awesome little thank you card. And we have ourselves their plug and play setup to make my speedometer run off of the vehicle speed sensors. So we've got this little module guy here, along with, under here, this is hard to do one-handed, along with a jumper wire harness set up here, and then that piggybacks into your wheel speed sensors. So I'm hoping that I can run just the one wheel speed sensor because it's once again a non-ABS car. It's got the 02 WRX wiring harnesses in it, so the wiring harness obviously has all the provisions for ABS and speed sensors. So that's what this kit is for an 02 to 07 WRX STI, around those range. And it's meant for when you swap in newer Subaru transmissions. The newer 6-speeds don't run a speed sensor out of the transmission anymore. So they have this kit to transfer it over to a vehicle speed sensor, but most of the cars that this kit's going to go on are going to still have ABS. So I'm hoping I don't run into problems there. I kind of just pulled the trigger on buying this. It was a little bit more than Zach should have spent, but to hopefully be a plug and play painless option, I'm willing to spend money on stuff like that. So we went ahead and ordered it. So now it's going to be the experiment of, will it work on the drift car? Seeing that it has none of the provisions there for it. It's completely written out of the script other than the plugs being there. So I'm hoping with just running one wheel speed sensor that it will still communicate and not have to have all of them. It only is picking up signal from one wheel speed sensor. So yeah, I don't know if that signal will even work from the harness side without it. I don't know if I even need to have it technically plugged into the harness side of the car. I might try it both ways. Maybe I only need it plugged into the sensor and then through this harness. And we're going to find out. There's a lot of experimenting here, so hopefully I can make a nice little informational video on that for people who want to try and do this in the future. So let's see what happens, but first task to get this all going is we need to put some new wheel bearings in these knuckles because, well, the guy we got this from never put axles in the front of that car, so he rolled it around on these wheel bearings for a while, and they're now loose and blown out. So yeah, we're going to slap some new bearings in it. We got some ball joints as well. Get that all thrown together. They are just cheap Master Pro because these are supposed to be temporary. I really want to buy the FDF angle kit for this car just because, I don't know, I think that'd be cool as heck. So that's my plan. So these are still going to be somewhat temporary, but they're probably going to be there for a while. So time to jump into it. We'll start getting everything slapped together on the side of the knuckles here, and we will start moving on to the car. So, oh hello, Diesel dog. Well, for the sake of experimenting, I jacked up the green car and got it on jack stands. Not that we don't need to do that anyway, but pulled one of the stub shafts out of the front, and I want to try and install it in here quick, because I had one WRX way back when that I put it together, and a friend helped me reassemble the rear end, and he failed to inform me that he did not tighten the nut because he didn't feel comfortable tightening it with an impact, so he didn't do it and failed to inform me that. And I had put about 10 miles on the car and noticed it felt really weird, so I'd gone back and parked it and checked it the next day and found that that was loose. Tightened it up, and it miraculously tightened up, so I kind of just want to see what's going to happen with this one quick and go from there. So here's our current. Definitely blown out, or seeming like it, but it's just because there's been no weight on it, and the way these bearings are, they need something to hold them together, otherwise they kind of just fall apart. So let's see if we can tighten this back up and make it work again. Luckily I have the new bearing just in case, so I kind of expect that it's going to not work, but gotta try it at least. Like I said, I don't recommend doing this. I have the bearings, I should just put them in, but for time's sake, it would be kind of nice just to get this done. Give her the old torquage now. There we go. 2 good nuggas. Well, she firmed right up. Firmed up and doesn't feel bad. Well, it doesn't feel bad. It actually tightened up really good. So we might go full send with that, which would be preferred. Slap some ball joints in them, get them on the car. We can start getting this thing wired for sure tonight, and maybe even test drive it. So because it ain't gonna take long to swap knuckles. I mean, it's swapping knuckles on a Subaru, it's easy. So yeah, I do, however, need to go and grab a front axle out of my pile, because of course these stub shafts are also from the original axles out of that car. Well, I don't know if they're original, but it has non-ABS here, so I need to go and grab a axle that has a towing ring on it and make it into this. So yeah, go through my stack, grab one of those, cut it off, find out which knuckle it goes in, or which, I think I'm going to do the passenger side. That's, in the stuff I've seen for this kit, they were using the passenger side. I don't know if you can probably use whatever side you want. Of course I put this one in the passenger side, so swap this stub shaft into that one. We'll go get an ABS stub shaft made and go from there. So yeah, good stuff. We at least have the wheel bearings just in case. The only reason I'm really trying to rush this together is our tuner's going on vacation, and who might be 2 or 3 weeks before we can get back to it. So if we can get it done this week, it would be awesome and ideal. So see what happens. Hopefully we can get this working, because I can always do the wheel bearings at any point after this. So, or just buy the FDF kit and not have to worry about it at all. So yeah, I don't know. See what happens. Start getting into it now. both knuckles are done. Well, then I do gotta go find one stud for this, but should have some new studs somewhere in my inventory of Subaru crap. Passenger side knuckles all good. Got the wheel speed sensor in it, so good to go. Time to get these things thrown on the car and get the iWire kit thrown in and see what time it is. Maybe go for a test drive and see what works and what doesn't. So, heck yeah, time to get right back to it. Alright, well, decided it is time to start doing some experimenting. I tucked the wheel speed sensor for the passenger side inside the car, and it's kind of a pain to get to. So instead of digging it out right now, I'm going to get this all hooked up how it needs to be and find out if we even need it hooked into the vehicle wheel speed sensor, or to the harness side of the vehicle's wheel speed sensor, or if we can just do the wheel speed sensor itself. So not sure if it needs to see a signal from that or if this can take care of all of that. So let's find out. What's the worst that could happen? It doesn't work and I dig that out of there and plug it in, and then it still doesn't work, and then I pull my hair out for hours and hours on end. But we'll find out when we get there. So start taking this thing off one step at a time and find out if you can go bare bones with this iWire kit. So, alright, so they send you this little module, which I'd imagine there is hopefully enough harness to get this mounted inside the car somewhere. So that'll be my plan with that. And then we got this harness here. So, oh yeah, there's quite a bit there. So it looks like this end here goes into the little box module thing they give you, and then these ends here split off. This one here is going to plug into your wheel speed sensor, and this, or speedometer sensor, and this one's going to plug into your wheel speed sensor. So let's do it. Ideally, you take the intercooler off for better access to your other plug, but oh well, we'll see what happens. So, we're going to, well, it looks like I don't even really have to have this mounted inside the car to test it, so that's pretty ideal. So I'm going to do some finagling around and find some plugs here, hopefully.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
Alright, well, the whole thing's plugged in, so module's plugged into the harness, plugged into the wheel speed sensor, and plugged into the speedometer plug. So I'm going to jack up the, well, actually, shit. Can't jack up the rear of the car because guess what? It's on the front tire, god darn it. So I guess I'm gonna just hodgepodge that stuff to the side. We'll go for a test drive. That's a booger. It Probably would have been more convenient back there, but there's definitely not enough wires, I can imagine, to go back there. So considering that it needs to have a plug in the engine bay and then would also have to have a plug run back there, I'm sure I could possibly do my own revision to make that happen, but I guess let's kind of string this up so nothing can fall out and get hurt and hope for the best. All right, we're all zip tied up into the side there, so time to jump in and see what happens. Oop. Close the door, right? There we go. So let's see what happens. Sorry if anybody from iWire sees this. That's obviously not ideal, but I'm just doing some testing. I'm sure I could have even called or sent an email to find out what I'm trying to find out, but hey, what fun is that when you can just dick around yourself and find out? So let's do it. Well, I gotta move the silver car quick, so be right back. Well, kind of fire this thing up and see what happens. Probably don't even have to leave the driveway. We can probably just do one good back and forth here in the driveway, and I'm sure that's going to be enough to tell us whether or not it's going to work or not. And then I can either go into tidying wires up, or we can start digging wires out. So let's see what happens. No low speed signal so far. At least I would imagine that would have been fast enough to get a reaction out of it. Oh, it lifted. Okay, that's hopeful. I think I seen it lift for a split second, so we're gonna go down the road here quick. Oh, we got a speedometer. Sick. Oh, that is too cool. Thank you, iWire. That is sick. Oh, thank you, person, for pulling right out in front of me. See if it still boost cuts. The ECU might be happy now, so it might not. Well, it wasn't boost cut, it's more of an ignition cut, so let's see what happens. Hell yeah! She didn't break up! Woo! That is awesome! to be tuned, boys. We got rippage. Oh, that is a great feeling. Such a great feeling. I ain't gonna beat on it anymore. I want to wait for Brad to give me the go-ahead on stuff. So, but it rips. It revs out finally. Sweet. All right. Time to get this thing back. Do some wire tucking. Well, made it back. Speedometer's working, which is great news, but I have a coolant leak. The back is filled down here. It's flowing over the back. I don't know if it was the clamp over here. My phone's not going to pick it up. But it's wet all around the bottom of the upper radiator hose. I'm not sure. There's a lot of pressure in this hose already. Yeah. Hoping I didn't just do the inevitable Subaru thing. We're gonna see. I wasn't paying attention to boost when I got into it. It hopefully didn't over boost and blow the head gasket, but we will see. It shouldn't have over boosted. It's not really tuned to have boost at the moment, so oh yeah, we're gonna see. I got let her cool off and maybe throw a pressure tester on it or see what happens, but we might be on hold for the wire tuck right now. Oh boy, see what happens.